The most common expectation is that grantees will have the capacity to continue whatever they did during the grant. In the OECD DAC criteria internationally, the sustainability criterion is really a continuity criteria. And so sustainability in that world is not economic or environmental sustainability. It's the interest that philanthropy has in stewarding, that boards have, are the impacts that we generated going to last? It's a continuity kind of criterion. And that continuity has been threatened with the drastic shocks to philanthropy and to the nonprofit and civil society sector. But other possibilities that happen after grants is scaling. Scaling up means having policy impact. Scaling out means reaching greater numbers. Scaling deep means having cultural impact, changing the narrative. And the Global Alliance has been engaged in all three of these kinds of scaling. Different from continuity is building the capacity to adapt. So continuity is doing the same thing, but resilience as adaptation means that you're not just doing the same thing, you're expecting the world to change. So do grantees, have they built the capacity to adapt or even to innovate? Under the mantra of creative destruction, in the positive economic sense, creative destruction is supposed to lead to innovation. What the Trump administration did was not creative destruction, but devastating destruction, not to innovate, but to stop things from happening. And so once things begin to stop, the question becomes, how much is resilient? Resilience in the ecological sense is absorbing a shock and being able to bounce back from that shock to return to the prior state. But what we're hearing from people is not just resilient, going from where we were, have a shock, resilient, get back to where we were, which is much of how the pandemic was talked about. But regeneration means doing something different, is using the shock as an opportunity to reconfigure, regenerate, even to transfer capacities from one place to another. So if we think about a program that's going on, it experiences a shock, a funding shock, a leadership shock, a shock in the political or economic world. And the question of resilience has been, can they return to the status ahead of time? But that means sometimes that shock leads to termination. Sometimes that shock leads to resilience. Sometimes that shock leads to regeneration, doing new things. But what has emerged, and this is where Tehout and I are here in Minneapolis, the thing that we haven't previously identified very well is resistance to the shock. The notion of resilience really comes from the environmental ecosystem movement, where ecosystems are able to be resilient after forest fires or after floods or after periods of drought, but ecosystems can't think. In human systems, what we saw in Minnesota with the ice raids was resistance to the shock. And that documentation, how that occurs, puts us into yet new territory about what philanthropy can do in the various routes that change may take as we engage both during and after grants.